The other thing I want to talk about is Gabriel's build-up. I saw the stat from Everton, which showed that he was the player with the highest amount of progressive carries and progressive passes in the team. For me, come on, like this Gabriel was a top player. I don't understand how this guy gets hate or how he was getting hate. For me, his build-up play is unbelievable. The way he passes the ball between line, his confidence. When he grows into confidence and gets into the team, and he's like, and it gets into momentum. It's also because he's left-footed as well. Like the way he opens the game up on that side, where he, especially because Zinchenko drifts inside, it opens up that whole left-hand side for Gabriel, for him to play the passes, for him to find guys between lines, for him to find guys over the top. The way he carries the ball into the halfway line and then finds a player there, and him doing that, just all he does is like when he steps into the midfield with the ball, it brings players towards himself. And like I mentioned before about how we play, where we have 5 guys up top, we have Martinelli, Havertz, or Fabio Vieira, Ødegaard, and Saka, and obviously the striker. When when Gabriel pushes up the pitch and carries the ball and gets there, all he does is bring players towards himself and brings players to him, which then opens up gaps and opens up space, and he can find players. And this is what's key about Gabriel, which is so good. And for me, the hate he gets is ridiculous, and I don't understand why he'll be getting like so much hate, and like people still, bringing up these names that can play over him and stuff. Let the guys come into the team and let them show what they can do and stuff like that. But as of now, Gabriel's a top class centre back, top class defender and everything. And the area in which he was getting a lot of criticism for in the past, he's showing that he's very good in that area. Another guy who has been getting a lot of hate recently is Ødegaard, which is for me is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I mean, I'm seeing stuff like, I can understand when people say put him on the left-hand side instead. I understand that part. I get that. I have said before, like, which I'll go to again in next after this. I'll talk about that in the topic after this. With Ødegaard, for me, I get why some people want him on the left-hand side, but the attack on him, saying stuff like, he's not good enough, he's holding us back, he's not at the level the team has moved past him. Listen, you need to, when people talk about players, you need to show the replacement. Ødegaard is a fantastic player. Yeah, any team can improve on anybody. If you offer us a younger De Bruyne right now, of course a younger De Bruyne is better than Ødegaard. You know what I mean? If you offer us the De Bruyne who's been playing at City, or the peak De Bruyne at City, of course he's better than Ødegaard. But that's not what's been offered. That's not what's out there. When you look at the playmakers in the league, you're looking at Kevin De Bruyne, you're looking at Bruno Fernandes, you're looking at Ødegaard. He's up there with these guys. I'm not saying he's at De Bruyne peak level, but he's around that level. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't see what the hate is. And the thing is, his playmaking ability is unbelievable. It's like, I think people are forgetting like the art of playmaking. It's not just only about just final actions. It's not just about that. It's about, why do you think we can sustain the ball in the final third? Why do you think we can keep the ball in the final third? Why do you think we're able to retain the ball in the final third? And again, when I go back to Ozil and I look at why Ozil was so underrated, like, even when Ozil wasn't getting the assist as much as he was still in the final third retaining the ball. It's so important to retain the ball. People need to understand this. If you're a team that wants to dominate the ball and dominate possession and keep the ball in the final third, you need guys like Ødegaard, guys like Ozil, guys like David Silva, them kind of guys who understand how to play, who understand how to make the right passes, keep the ball, make the right 1-2s, position themselves, spatial awareness. When it's like, at times you see Ødegaard where the opposition are lined up there and they're waiting there, but he knows how to, he knows how to position himself in a way whereby he's in between the opposition. He's in between them. So it's like he's drawing 2 players to himself. He positions himself in the right areas. He's not standing behind the defender or behind the marker. He's standing in between the marker. He's standing off the marker. He's always looking around him and knowing where to stand. And once he gets the ball, he always knows where the other players are. So once he gets the ball, he's passing the ball to the other side, passing it there. He gets the ball, he's passing to the other guy. That allows you to play all these little 1-2s and this little intricate little passes there. What that does is move the opposition around. He's moving them around. At the same time, he's keeping the ball as well in the final third. That playmaking attribute for me is more important than any other attribute in the final third. You need guys like this to be able to keep the ball. Yes, of course, you want the final actions, you want the final balls, which he showed last season as well by scoring 15 goals. And he's showing this season in terms of the goals he's scoring. Yes, he needs to get more assists. I need to see him get like 10 assists and things like that, or see him create more chances. with more decisive passing. I think what people are looking at is Fabio Vieira's in terms of the final action. But Fabio Vieira is not at the level of Odegaard in terms of sustaining the ball in the final third. In terms of like the art of playmaking, Fabio Vieira is not at that level of Odegaard yet. Bruno Fernandes is not at the level of Ødegaard in terms of the pure art of retaining the ball in the final third and sustaining possession. The art that the guys like David Silva or the guys like Ozil, guys like Ødegaard, what the kind of thing that Modric does in the final third. Just being able to retain the ball, pass the ball here, sustain possession. When you're able to do that, it allows you to be able to sustain pressure on opposition. And when I mentioned about how dominant we are in the final third and how we keep the ball in the opposition's half and we continue to keep on pushing them back, the reason why we're able to be this dominant and to keep the opposition back in the final third and keep recycling the ball in the final third, the reason we're able to do all this is because we have a guy like Ødegaard who's able to keep the ball, sustain the ball in the final, help us to retain position in the final third. That's why we're able to do this. Without someone like Ødegaard doing that kind of thing like that, you can't. You look at United, for example, when they had the midfield of Bruno Fernandes and Mount. Who was keeping the ball in the final third? These guys couldn't keep the ball in the final third. They were treating the ball like hot potatoes. All of them, like juggling the ball. They didn't know what to do with the ball. Bruno Fernandes, Mason Mount, all these guys, they're not on the level of Ødegaard in terms of retaining the ball in the final third and sustaining pressure. For me personally, De Bruyne is not that kind of 10 either. De Bruyne is a final action guy. He's a final action guy like Bruno Fernandes. He's just at an elite level at doing that kind of thing. He's not a guy that's going to be in the final third retaining possession, keeping the ball, trying to help you circulate the ball and make those kind of passes. He's not that kind of guy. So you can criticize Ødegaard for maybe not being direct enough and all that kind of stuff, or not being like a final action guy, but you can't criticize him for being a guy who's playmaking. You can't criticize him for that aspect of the game, of that playmaking aspect. You can't criticize Ødegaard for that. So again, for me, if you want to criticize him, you can talk about wanting a different profile. You can't really talk about his qualities like that. There's not that many players that are on Ødegaard's level. De Bruyne is not the same De Bruyne of the past. He's starting to decline, especially physically. Bruno Fernandes is not at that level of playmaking as Ødegaard. He's a different profile. So again, if you want a different profile to what Ødegaard is offering, as someone who's young as him as well and offering that kind of profile, then yes, we can make that discussion. But to be criticizing Ødegaard as if he's just some player who's not at the right level, for me, that's just complete nonsense. This guy's a top class player, and he's also becoming even more direct as well. He scored 15 last season, and it looks like he's trying to score even more goals again this season. So for me, man, Ødegaard's a top player. I don't understand the criticism. There's no reason for that. We can always add more players and add more competition. There's nothing wrong with that. Add more competition, but criticism of his qualities, nah, for me that's a no for me.